So I recently saw a post by Dr. Raquel Martin where she mentions that non-Black parents should teach their children that our children, meaning Black children, lives matter as well. It's an excellent post. If you don't follow Dr. Raquel Martin, I suggest you find her page and listen to this post. It is excellent and it is 100% spot on, which is what made me want to respond to her post, because much of what she is saying, it falls very much in line with a lived experience of mine. A few years ago, I was a PTA vice president at a middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It was my first year on a PTA ever, and I came into the school as a 6th grade parent, and I was the only Black person on that PTA's executive board. And let me tell you, I felt every single minute of being the only Black person on that board, trying to initiate change and trying to make a more inclusive school environment. I was informed very early on that there was a woman in the community, we'll just call her Big Bird for now, that she took issue with me being on the executive board and her not being on the executive board. And more importantly, that I was a Black woman trying to initiate change and making it more cultural, is I think the word that was used. Nevertheless, I was very successful at, leading initiatives, making a more inclusive environment my first year as vice president. I was also informed that ultimately this person, Big Bird, wanted an all-white PTA. She was not on the PTA at the time when I came in as a vice president. She simply was another parent at the school. The following year, I became PTA president. I want you to quickly keep in mind that the PTA presidency term was for 2 years. So this was my first full year as a PTA president. The white women who were on the PTA had resigned, and my understanding was that they took issue with me becoming the PTA president. At the end of my first year as a PTA president, Big Bird and a number of her white friends spearheaded an effort to ensure that I would no longer be the PTA president. The claim and the lie in the community was that I was a PTA president for 2 years and that my term was up. This was super petty. And it was also not at all true. There was even legal documentation that stated that I was, in the previous year, a vice president. So there was no way I could have been a PTA president for 2 years. So there's that. My understanding was that Big Bird's effort was allegedly to make the PTA executive board all white, and that Blacks could not be on the executive board. They could help with initiatives, but they were not allowed to be on the executive board as like a president, vice president, secretary, or treasurer. So that was the allegation. My response, let's just say their acts gave me the opportunity to expose their racism. It also has given me a lived experience that I can always refer to publicly. What was the result? I ultimately left the PTA's executive board. And the board ultimately did become all white. And yes, Big Bird was on the PTA following my departure. Not only did these white parents, well, majority white parents, I'll say, we'll get to that later, reach out to the local media in attempts to smear my name, but children also appeared to spew hate to other students in the community. Where do you think they learned this from? Why do you think these students thought this behavior was okay? So in relation to what Dr. Martin was saying, what are you teaching your children? They don't get this entitled behavior from nowhere. It is learned oftentimes at home, and oftentimes it's rewarded. My personal situation goes so much more deeper than this, and I want you guys to truly hear this entire situation about how this local PTA executive board became all white. If you want to know more about what transpired in this, what appears to be this racially rooted debacle in my community, go to my YouTube channel and check out the Performative Allyship series under my playlist. There's more of that to come, but take a look.